I was really looking forward to this video. So today we are gonna compare the lather of 4 of the most popular soaps out there. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Perry and I have background in chemical engineering and biotechnology, and for the past 5 years I've been working in the biotech industry focusing on skincare molecules. And let me tell you something, I am obsessed with one thing, and this is understanding formulation and the why behind things. And in the process of doing that, of understanding formulation, you will find out that you can make many different skincare products and soaps with only very few ingredients, which will make you save a lot of money, time and frustration. So let's go check the lather. And before we do, if you want a free soap PDF recipe that contains instructions on how to make your first soap, a balanced soap making recipe with coconut oil, shea butter, olive oil and castor oil, and also a long-lasting essential oil blend, then comment soap and I will send it to you as soon as I see your comment. So number 1 will be the popular Castille soap. This is a soap with a very high concentration of olive oil, and actually the most popular soaps in the world, Aleppo soap, Castille soap, Marseille soap, they're actually very similar because they all have a very high concentration of olive oil, which makes them suitable for sensitive skin, sensitive and dry skin types. Because remember, olive oil is high in oleic acid, and when oleic acid reacts with sodium hydroxide, it produces sodium oleate. Sodium oleate is a substance that is very gentle and conditioning for your skin. In soap, olive oil equals conditioning and gentle lather. So the first soap is going to be a high concentration of olive oil soap. The second soap is going to be a balanced soap bar that contains olive oil, coconut oil, shea butter and castor oil. But why those ingredients? Olive oil will provide the conditioning properties. Coconut oil will provide cleanliness and bubbles to your soap. Then shea butter will provide creaminess and structure, and last, castor oil will provide thickness and richness to your lather. So it's a combination of the four most important ingredients for soap making. So you combine all of the properties from those 4 ingredients. The third soap is something called the Himalayan salt soap, or a salt soap. It has a concentration of salt of above 10%, but as we will see, it has also a very high concentration of coconut oil. And coconut oil is basically the reason why we add more coconut oil than usual in the Himalayan salt soap bar is because Himalayan salt or other salts, they tend to reduce lather. So they really tend to minimize bubbles. So we need to increase coconut oil to compensate for that reduction. And that's why Himalayan salt soaps, they usually have a very high concentration of coconut oil. And then the final soap is the popular beef tallow soap. And trust me, I have been making soap with only basically olive oil, coconut oil, shea butter and castor oil for the past years. But recently I've seen the hype with beef tallow and I said, I have to try this soap. So let's talk a bit about beef tallow and shea butter because it's very interesting topic. So if we look, for example, we have 4 different categories of oils. Number 1 is the categories that offer conditioning properties like olive oil, but also other oils like high oleic sunflower oil and so on. And of course, some oils come with certain disadvantages. This is the price, like avocado oil being very expensive or macadamia oil being very expensive, but also other disadvantages like the concentration of linoleic acid. Some conditioning oils, they are high in linoleic acid, which is basically the reason why we have dreaded orange spots and rancidity in our soap. The second category is oils that add cleanliness to your lather, like coconut oil and babasu oil. And now the third category is the one that I want to talk a bit more about today, which is creaminess and hardness. Here we have shea butter. Shea butter is high in oleic and stearic acid, but beef tallow is high in oleic, palmitic and stearic acid. So that's the difference between shea butter and beef tallow, is that beef tallow has a higher concentration, has actually palmitic acid. And what palmitic acid does is that it creates this very stable, luxurious and long-lasting lather. Now, why is that? So imagine that palmitic acid is basically an acid that once it reacts with lye, it creates sodium palmate, and sodium palmate is not water soluble at all. So when you have your soap basically in the water, it's the main reason why your soap is very long lasting, because sodium palmate is not water soluble. While a soap with a high concentration of coconut oil is very, very water soluble, and that's why coconut oil creates a lot of bubbles. And that's why coconut oil actually is a soap that creates amazing lather, but it's not as long lasting as shea or beef tallow. People often ask me, can I replace shea butter with beef tallow? And I always say you can, but you have to know that there might be a bit of trade-off. So the trade-off is that beef tallow also adds palmitic acid, and that will lead to a more stable lather. If I had to compare beef tallow with other oils, I would say that beef tallow is a combination of shea butter and palm oil, because you will see palm oil is high in palmitic acid. So the only way that you can replace beef tallow completely with something else is by using a combination of shea butter and palm oil. Without further ado, guys, the most important part is actually to go to the bathroom and check the lather ourselves. So let's go ahead and start with the most popular soap, the Castille soap. And this is a soap that has a very high concentration of olive oil. Look how shiny it is basically. It's so gentle and conditioning to your skin, and let's see the lather it creates. So this soap is very unique because olive oil takes a lot of time to be converted into soap. So basically soaps that are made with a high concentration of olive oil need curing for minimum 6 months. So as you can see, it doesn't bubble that much. So it's basically very, very gentle to your skin. It's very suitable for people with dry, sensitive skin because it doesn't just bubble. It feels like a luxurious spa treatment. I don't have sensitive skin, I don't have dry skin, but despite that, I love using that soap. And I mostly use it on my face because on the face you cannot really use a soap with a high concentration of coconut oil because that will feel a bit irritating. So using a soap that is like that, very luxurious, conditioning and gentle for your skin, works perfectly fine. Some people will say, oh, I don't like it because it doesn't bubble at all. But honestly, it's not like that. It does have lather, as you will see here. So it does lather. It's just that it's not creating these huge bubbles that you would usually expect. Now let's go to the second soap, which is a balanced recipe with coconut oil, shea butter, olive oil, and castor oil. And this recipe is perfect for normal skin types, and if you have slightly sensitive skin, it will still work. So it bubbles, it creates a lot of bubbles because of coconut oil, but at the same time you have shea butter and olive oil to protect the skin with their conditioning and creamy properties. So let's see how it lathers. This soap is made with turmeric, by the way, that's why it has this beautiful color. Turmeric also acts as an exfoliant, so it works perfectly fine. So you will see already that this soap bubbles way more than the previous soap, and this is because of coconut oil. Coconut oil adds basically all these bubbles that you see here. You see, this is a lot of bubbles compared to before. What's next? Himalayan salt bar or other salt soaps. This is very, very unique because Himalayan salt will be an amazing exfoliant agent for your soap. At the same time, it contributes to the hardness, so it really makes a very hard soap. And we have to basically add coconut oil in a concentration of 50% for this recipe in order to basically compensate for the fact that Himalayan salt reduces lather. So let's see how it looks like. So this one bubbles, I would say it bubbles the same as the other soap, even though it has way more coconut oil. So this soap is definitely more cleansing and more and harsher than other soaps because it has Himalayan salt, which is an exfoliant. It has a high concentration of coconut oil. So if you want something very cleansing and really exfoliating for your skin, then this soap is phenomenal for this reason. And lastly, let's go to the final soap, which is a soap made with 50% beef tallow concentration, and the rest is coconut oil, olive oil, and castor oil. And now this is a very special soap. Basically, beef tallow will not only add creaminess to our lather, but it will also make our soap very long lasting, because palmitic acid and stearic acid are not very water soluble. I mean, once it reacts with lye, they create substances that are not very water soluble, and that's basically what makes this soap extremely long lasting. So let's look at the lather. In this one you can see the lather is actually very creamy, so it's bubbly, but at the same time the bubbles are quite creamy and thick because of the palmitic and stearic acid that your beef tallow contains. So you can see it's not the same cleansing lather we saw before. It's not just bubbles, it's a lot of creamy, very creamy bubbles, and this is what makes this soap quite unique actually. So thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end, and if you want to go from someone who not just copies recipes but understands formulation and designs their own recipes based on their own goals, I have an ebook called Clean Up Your Life, and this ebook will help you transform your soap making and skincare journey. It contains 15 tested recipes, from sensitive skin soap to body soap, hand soap, dish soap, to lip balms, deodorants, shampoo bars, and so on. I've been receiving a lot of great feedback so far, and I would love to hear what you have to say about it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.